Within just the past few years, we've all been amazed at some of the things that computers can do, to the point we've begun to wonder if there's anything they can't do. For instance, we might not be aware of it, but we're all watching more computer-generated television these days. Lee Harrison III of Denver was and still is a pioneer in the development of computers that can create animation. Channel 9's Mike Landis has a report on the animated computer.
It all started in 1960 in an attic in Bluebell, Pennsylvania, with some glass tubes, color-coded wires, some 2x4s, and the imagination of Lee Harrison and his associates. This was the beginning of the Computer Image Corporation, and it was a rather unlikely one at that. The employees didn't get a paycheck. In fact, they contributed $5 each month to buy parts. The animation itself was simple, even crude.
I don't see any 2x4s on this one. This is a little different.
This is. And you notice we have many inputs here, and
Lee Harrison moved to Denver in 1965 and built his second computer, Animac, 2 years later. It was far more sophisticated than the first, and it utilized a unique electrical harness worn on the body and attached to the computer. When the person wearing the harness moved, the animated character moved. Mr. Noise was one of the first characters created with Animac. Mr. Noise not only danced, but his lips were synchronized with the sound.
Jingles and jangles, oh how I adore all that noise, marvelous noise.
Mr. Noise and the other animated characters that could be produced with Animac were far too abstract for an audience accustomed to Mickey Mouse. But clients did like the special graphic effects. So in 1968, Lee and his associates built Scanimate. In 1972, Lee won a national Emmy for the development of Scanimate. He says it's difficult to watch television without seeing something produced on one of the world's 8 Scanimate machines.
People would certainly recognize probably the Pepto-Bismol commercials and some of those wild openings on Monday Night Football that we've seen over the years. Things like that were done on Scanimate.
I think the red can hold the greater contrast, but this we're not quite as dark. Okay.
Scanimate? You still have your gold background up? Can you get the gold background up?
While we were at Computer Image, a client from Chicago wanted to animate their logo, the letter M. Instead of the hundreds of drawings it might have taken for animators to do it by hand, Scanimate used this simple black and white high-contrast artwork called a codolith.
Right now I'm just taking section 1 of the 5 that are up there and rotating it around its central axis point.
Go ahead and lay that down.
Right.
All right.
But Lee still wanted a computer that could duplicate the movement of a cartoon character, and Scanimate, although good enough to win an Emmy, just wasn't it. So in 1969, Lee and his team of video engineers designed Caesar, and according to Lee, animating with an electrical harness became a thing of the past.
Starting frame, ending frame. Whoops, beg your pardon. I think I goofed up. Let's try that again.
Today, Scanimate and Caesar are often electronically tied together to create animation. Animator Dave Holman sets up 2 keyframes, punches a button, and the computer does all the tedious work in between.
And there we go. 4 seconds worth of animation. You can't do animation that fast.
And the future? A new computer animation machine called System 4 that combines the best of Scanimate and Caesar and does even more. It'll be ready for use this summer. But for all this wondrous equipment and new technology, Lee claims we've only just begun to understand the potential of computer animation.
Have you tried to imagine what the world would be like if all of a sudden today, all of us for the first time were given vocal cords to speak with? so that we could communicate this way. Well, I think we're in the process of being given some servant of the visual imagination that will allow us to communicate in a very marvelous and exciting way.